so just recently with the NBA draft passing, the lives of 60 plus players were changed when they heard their name being called either by the commissioner or the deputy commissioner, assistant commissioner, vice commissioner, what do they call him? Deputy commissioner, whatever. Right. But that's not the point. Shout out to all the players that were drafted in the recent NBA draft. Like I said, this is the next step in their journey, the final step in their journey to being where they want to be. Their lifelong goals of being NBA players. Mm-hmm. Maybe we see some superstars and future MVPs out this draft. Maybe this draft goes on to be one of the best ever. Maybe it's just, just a good draft and all with a lot of longevity and players playing long teams in the NBA, But just the draft is here, it's over, it's dead and gone. Some team fan bases are absolutely upset talking about the New York Knicks, even though it might...
particular, that was about you.
Even though it might be a bigger game plan that they're working on that we don't know.
It is.
But with that being said, I'm John W.
Fresh X.
And this is the Hoopers Pod, and we are the Hoopers. Yeah, so the draft, if I'm saying his name wrong, you can correct me. Y'all can correct me after y'all hear this.
I don't know. But for the Knicks draft pick?
For Paolo Banchero.
Oh, yeah, Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero. I do know his name.
Paolo Banchero was the number one pick to the Orlando Magic. And as I'm watching the draft, of course, the draft needs were a stretch forward that can space the floor, which is that's kind of redundant, and a playmaking point guard. And it's of course, they weren't going to take a point guard number one because why would they? And then it's you already have 2 point guards, so you need to figure out with a possible third with Jalen Suggs, who they also can slide at the one spot whenever they want. I thought that was a good pick. It was a safe pick. I think that means that they're probably committed to Wendell Carter at the 5, and shout out to Mo Bamba, but he's probably out of there this summer. Who was number 2? Chet went number 2. I think that was kind of what everybody figured it was going to be. I figured no matter where OKC drafted, Chet was going to be their pick. 1, 2, 3, 4. They were going to get Chet regardless. Everybody... There seems to, of course, with certain players, there's always... with every player, there's both sides of it to where he's either going to be really good or he's going to be really bad. Chet is in that rare category of players where he's either going to be really great and he's going to change the way basketball is being played. Not just playing being over dramatic. But he's either going to be really great or he's not going to be so good that he's probably going to be a bust. I'm not calling him a bust, but there are people out there who saying he has all the lookings of a bust. Just real quick, what you've seen of Chet, the talk you've heard of, because we do got a lot of homies who do cover a lot of aspects of basketball, college being one of those aspects. Where are you at on Chet? We ain't full disclosure, we're not draft guys. I'm not talking about what they did in college when I'm talking about these players anymore. I'm talking about what I think they're going to do in the NBA and what I think their skill set's going to bring to the NBA. Because for the most part, I do know these players' skill sets. Yeah. But where are you at on the Chet Holmgren? Excuse me, my bad, Chet. On the Chet Holmgren discourse, is he going to be really great? Is he going to be a bust, or he's going to be a good player?
I honestly don't even say. I'm not even going to predict. You really can't predict because I honestly, first of all, shout out to Paolo for being number 1.
Yeah.
Like you said, Orlando, it didn't make sense to go with a guard. I think they were in the most draft, the best player available, because they don't know what they're doing right now. Not that they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to clearly figure out what's the player. Paolo is looked at as he's the most NBA ready right now. He can come in and average. I'm not putting it on him, but if anybody come in and they're going to average 20 right now, it's him. If anybody's going to average 18 right now, it's him. So Orlando just need that and need some talent. To Chet, I think what Chet can do is be if he reaches his potential, because there's always both sides of it. He was drafted right here for a reason, and different things could lead to people's careers. That's why I won't say if he's a bust or not, because if you don't show him and you just don't look good, that just is what it is. We'll get there when we get there, but I get why he goes number 2, because you see this 7-footer. He can handle the ball pretty solidly. He could shoot the ball really well. I think he was 38% from 3 from college. College 3-pointer, obviously, but that's not nothing in my opinion.
No, thanks.
He seems like he has some offensive skills, and usually when you see somebody like him, I gotta give him this credit. They do seem like they're soft, and he doesn't come off as soft. No. He does play aggressively and things like that.
I think that's the key to it, right?
Right. But what could lead to him being a bust outside of injuries, because I don't care what nobody got to say. I don't care what the league is transitioning to. A 7-footer at 195 pounds in the NBA just isn't gonna survive. And he's gonna get bigger. He's gonna be at least 205 by opening night. That's 10 pounds. So like, I don't care what nobody said about this stuff. This is what it is. You about to play grown men. Everybody's 7 foot. Everybody's 7 foot in the NBA. You know what I mean? It's a lot of 7-footers in the NBA. It's a lot of tall guys in the NBA. You know, that's being tall isn't just why he's going to be a great player. Why he has the potential to be a great player. So what could lead to him being a bust is, you know, not committing to, you know, at least just getting bigger, getting stronger. I'm not a he needs to be 250 guy. No. I think your body is your body. You know, but obviously you have to get stronger, and by getting stronger, you're gonna just naturally gain weight, and that protects you from the injuries and stuff like that.
I was just gonna bring that up.
Nothing else.
Bring that up.
It protects you from the injuries or whatever.
Like, do you kind of feel like? Because I know you were one of the first people. I don't care how it sounds. You were one of the first people that said Zion kind of got to get his body in order if he wants to play a long career in the NBA.
Yeah, it's a lot of games.
And I think a lot of people with Chet, when it comes to his way, a lot of people do feel like he's just too little, just to be for too little sake. Right. Where they just think he needs to gain weight. But I always like your point to it, where this is to protect his body at the most that he can. Because at the end of the day, that.
Look, man, at the end of the day, all respects to everybody. Sure. We didn't make it to the NBA. I always put preference on that. But I played in some pro leagues. You taking bumps out there. Right. And I'm a guard, obviously, so it's different. But you taking bumps out there. And I'm not playing 82 games. They are. It wears on the biggest dudes. Like, so you gotta protect your body, because that's gonna put you in a position to be on the court every night, honestly. Because even at playing the 4, because obviously people just immediately go, oh, what he's gonna do with Joel Embiid. Like, nobody's doing that with Joel Embiid. That's right. But at this point, he's not big enough even for, say, a Rudy Gobert in the post, who doesn't seem just like physically imposing or whatever.
Then you realize how. And I don't even think it's just that. I think
so. You got to be able to hold his position. Right. I don't think he got to be Zion bulked up. He don't got to become 300 pounds.
205 to start, just to start.
195 at 7 foot. Come on, man.
Right. And like I said, I don't think it's just even to take those bumps from guarding your position. Like you say, it's guards driving who's looking to bump and dunk on you, and that's just a consistent that's a consistent thing in the NBA. Like, you gonna see a guard coming at you pretty fast, and you gotta realize he's trying to get a bucket.
But what's really good, I like that he's not falling in the category of trying to be soft. He's confident in himself. I don't really care for him saying he's gonna be the best player in the league in 2 months, because, you know, don't think the league is sweet. I'm that guy too. Like, don't think it's sweet. Yeah, you're good. You're really good. That's why you were a top 2 pick, but you're not the only top 2 pick in it that's about to be in the NBA. Like, you will have teammates that was drafted in the top 2, and then they're not playing no more, whatever. It happens. Like, you'll be on a team with other players that was the number 1 player in their class. This guy was Mr. This guy was Mr. whatever. We all were All-Americans. You in that league now. So it's good to have the confidence, but I hope he goes in there humble and ready to learn, because that can also, you know, be a detriment to him too, because, you know, OKC was bad, but Shea averaged 20 last year, so he got some alpha in him. Giddey, you know, he feel like he should have been Rookie of the Year. So, you know, you finna be playing with some players. They're your teammates, obviously, but and then even just the people you about to be playing against and stuff like that. But with his game, like how he could. I always like the players that could shoot the ball like that, because he's just a natural player. He just feel like he got good natural offensive instincts, which is the best thing against 7-footers. Like, it's rare to get the guy that's not clumsy. He has like real nice finesse to his game. Like, I wouldn't play him at the 2 as far as ball handling. I know that's like a drastic, but I'm talking about just to speak on his ball handling. I don't want him out there isoing on the perimeter, but if he gets it up top, he can pump fake and beat somebody out, hit him with a 1-2 and beat him off the dribble. I like that.
And like, we were talking about this, you know, a little while ago, before we started recording. Like, as a positional thing, I like him dribbling the ball, but like I say, I don't want to stick him at a 2. Like, even just real quick, who I think once he start playing, we probably gonna hear this comparison or see this a lot, but even like with Jokic's not necessarily handling the ball as a point guard. Yeah, he's handling positionally as a center. But just to move on.
Remember, real quick, nobody's gonna know this term, but it's obviously. But remember, Coach Mack. Shout out to Coach Mack, Mays High, coach in Atlanta. 3-time champion, I believe. He won 3 state championships. But I remember he used to talk about this guy, Lance Storrs. Shout out to Lance Storrs. He played at Georgia Tech. Random story. But he used to always talk about him, how he used to back the ball down. He used to dribble backwards because he can't dribble for real. That's what Jokic be doing to me. He dribble like Lance Storrs. I'm sorry, random story. I just had to say that.
No, the facts. But
shout out to Lance. He played overseas.
But to keep it at Atlanta at the number 3 pick, we got Jabari Smith Jr. going to Houston.
Look, man, you want a top 3 pick, you gotta come to that city. That's what they're saying. You know what I mean?
And with Jabari going to Houston, and I know a lot of people, this is probably most people's favorite pick, because how Houston seems to be building their team out.
That's my favorite pick of the top 3.
Maybe not next year. Of course, done real quick with Houston. John Wall is expected to opt into his contract.
Get that money.
I ain't gonna say how much it is, but go get your money, dog.
Hey. It's almost 50 of them. It's not there, but it's almost there.
Go get your money. But Houston is feeling. Of course, they're still talking about trying to move Eric Gordon for maybe another pick or just some more young assets and young talent. Do you think Houston can make? Not playoff noise, not playing noise. I don't expect that from this team. Maybe Jabari is that good where he gels it all together and he provides that for them. But do you think this Houston team is at a point where they make noise to we gonna knock off a couple playoff? We played 3 playoff teams this week. Maybe we knock off 3 of them and 2 big wins, maybe a close win. Do you think Houston could be right there this year?
This is how I feel about this Houston team. First of all, I know Jabari, you can see it in his face. He was disappointed that he didn't go number 1. Just because, a lot of people did think he had a good chance to go number 1.
Right.
But going number 3 wasn't bad. I feel like he went to, out of the top 3, I feel like he went to the best position out of them all. Because even, like I said, with Paolo, he's going to Orlando. They got Isaac, you got Mobamba. Everybody's at the guard position. They don't really know what they're doing, so it's kind of like a show and prove thing. They're
right.
Still, they don't have the pieces yet. OKC, I don't think they really still think they have their pieces yet. It's been really known that a lot of people in the draft world, and they can speak to this way better than I can, but it's been well known that Sam Presti is trying to get Victor Wembanyama, the kid. He can be in the draft next year from France. 7'3", he can handle the ball, can shoot the ball defensively. He's supposed to be a monster. So I don't even know if this team is complete. Maybe he wants to compare him with Chet. You still got to see what's going on with Shea and this and that. In Houston, they just got Jalen Green last year. And I think that's the most important piece. And then you add Jabari to that, and then they get who I think should be their point guard in Ty. And then you still also have Kevin Porter. I didn't really mention him because I still think he's a wild card. They believe in his talent, but they want to know that he can control himself and he can help them win basketball games. And this is why I feel like John Wall should be playing. With the talent of this team and the potential of the players, like Jalen Green at the end of the season, he was almost like a 22, 25 point per game scorer. I think Jabari, I'll be disappointed if Jabari don't average at least 14 points next year. And I hope I'm not putting too much on him by saying that. But I just feel like his game and how he shoot and how he just fits in so effortlessly. I wouldn't be surprised if him and Paolo is battling for like the rookie leading scorer. And even if he finishes with like 17 a game, I think he's gonna shoot a solid percentage from 3. I think he has an NBA ready game. Some of the comparisons that some people have said out there, I think it fit. Like I've heard, and no, he's not this exact player, but just with playing in the 4, like you said, the Sharif comparison. I've seen like some LaMarcus Aldridge because he's gonna have a nice mid-range game if he locks in on that and he shoots. I feel like he shoots better than both of those players, honestly. So Houston could win some games where you start looking at the team differently. Right. You get a couple steals and it's like, okay, maybe we're in play-in territory. If the players, how I am top 3 picks, I don't expect you to change the world or whatever in year 2 or 3, but I honestly do expect you to compete if you're that guy in the top 3. So you got 2 on. Jalen Green went 2 and he went 3. Obviously, you got to build out the rest of the roster. That's why, to me, if John Wall's healthy, I play John Wall because I'm pushing them to compete for the playoffs. If you feel like these 2 players are your building stones, all right, let's start trying to win and see what we putting around him because you want to get winning habits early. So I really like Jabari going to Houston because I think Jalen Green wants to win. I think Jabari is going to try to win. I think Steven Silas doesn't want to continue losing. And not that they're going to be a lock for the playoffs as a 6 seed. I won't put that on them, but I can see them play in your NBA TV team to watch. Don't sleep on them tonight, or they'll knock off a couple wins because Jalen goes off for 35. Right. Jabari gets you 27. I think they got a really solid team.
I definitely agree. And don't forget with Houston, they also recently traded Christian Woods to the Dallas Mavericks. Way too early rookie of the year pick.
I was gonna go Jabari anyway because he Metro Atlanta City bias. I'm going Jabari. I think he got the best fit.
Right. Like I said, Houston Rockets recently just traded Christian Woods, so that clears space up at that 4, and maybe depending on how he develops his game, maybe some small ball 5s, big ball 3.
And we saw how you honestly saw how they fit with Christian Wood. Right. Honestly, when everybody was healthy, you saw the potential that Jabari is better.
And I don't think Jabari is
no disrespect to Christian. Christian can hoop. Jabari's going to be better. Right. He's not better right now, but in 2 years he'll be better.
Right. And I don't think Jabari is going to be as pressed to bring up the ball as much. Like Christian Woods like to bring the ball up the court himself.
Jabari, I don't think Jabari necessarily comparison. I love the Sharif comparison. Yeah. Sharif can handle it. He'll dunk on you if he get it, but the shot was smooth, and Jabari's shot is smooth. I think that's what everybody the consensus has been like. Dang, he can shoot the ball. If he adds I know he can handle the ball, but if he start handling the ball, not that I want him again. Same thing with Chet. Honestly, I don't want him just going ISO up there but being able to beat somebody off the dribble. I can occasionally run a pin down for him just because I want to get funky real quick. We ain't really doing that.
Right. Like I said, we're not going to go over all the players that were drafted. We're going to definitely go over a few.
That was cool.
Just a few. One team, though, I do want to get to is the Detroit Pistons.
I'm saying that everybody agreed Detroit had the best draft. I feel like they got really good.
Right. Jaden Ivey, and Jalen Duran. I know at first I didn't really. I'm not gonna say I didn't like the Jaden Ivey pick, but I didn't really see it at first. It was kind of a questioning thing because it was like, okay, y'all drafted Killian Hayes and y'all go Cade, then y'all go another guard. But all three of these guards play such a distinct type, and all of them are such a distinct height that you can play some lineups with all three of them in there, whereas Cade could always have, well, for the most part, be the creator as a playmaker or a scorer, Jaden Ivey as your explosive scorer, Killian Hayes is 3-and-D. All three of them can run the offense. All three of them can handle the ball on their own. Killian Hayes, not as much as the other two or as much as you're expecting from Jaden Ivey. Jalen Duran is... The thing they said Detroit needed was an explosive scoring from guard position, basically, and front. I can't remember the word they said, but it was front court depth. And I think Jalen Duran and Isaiah Stewart as a mix is probably going to be one of the best young center combinations. I think I don't know.
They got Bagley too,
and got Marvin Bagley at the 4 as well, and can play some 5. I think Detroit is building a special young team to where I think Detroit could be Minnesota this year with the players they drafted and the players they already have. I know they just recently traded Jeremy Grant to the Portland Trail Blazers, but I think they're gonna be A-OK anyway. I think I don't think Jeremy Grant was ever in that long-term plan. I think he was one of those stopgate players to where, what are we building? What type of players do we want? What are we playing? And we just want to put out maybe not a playoff competitive team, but we want to put out a competitive team. Dwayne Casey as a veteran coach. Like I say, maybe I think they could be this year's Minnesota. I think they had the worst record this past year. That doesn't mean anything now that the draft is over. They already got their picks out the way. How competitive of a team do you think Detroit can be?
But the only thing I wonder with Jaden Ivey and Cade is Jaden played point guard at Purdue, right? So he's been more ball dominant. I mean, his comparison is Ja Morant overall. Right. But people have have been saying Cade is going to be the point guard, so that means he's going to have to play off the ball or something. So that's the only thing that I wonder how that works. But I feel like Cade is so good. I feel like he could play off the ball some. Also, I just feel like he'd be a better decision maker. I don't know how it works, but I think it works. I think a guard like Ivy, he should play off the ball more and then play in transition. You know what I mean? As far as being explosive like that, getting opportunities that way, and then when you go to your half court, you bring it up. Obviously, then you get Cade to run the offense and stuff like that. That's how and maybe that's how they see it working. But, you know, one's comparison is a point guard and the other guy is a point guard also. That's the only pause.
Right.
But
yeah, facts.
I feel like it's gonna work because I think Cade is he's such a good player to me. The first thing I noticed about him at Oklahoma State is just he seems he's such a smart player. Like he's playing in his. He's real Kyle Anderson to me, but way better. I'm a big fan of Kyle Anderson. That's probably blasphemy to somebody.
Off the glass podcast, he definitely made that comparison last year.
Kyle was the number one player in his class. Kyle was really good. He just never had the athleticism to make him next level elite. But look at what he's been able to do in the career he's been able to carve out just off of his talent. You know what I mean? He's been an effective player everywhere he's been. And I feel like Cade is that with a little more athleticism, a little shorter because Kyle is 6'8". Cade is like 6'6", right? He's up there. But more explosive, but just the mind, like he's a really good passer. I think he has a solid mid-range game. He can shoot the three when he needs to. He's just a smart player. Like I feel like Cade is gonna be an all-star. I always felt like he was gonna be an all-star type player. And then I think they figured out. I think Killian Hayes, who I really liked him coming out of the draft, was disappointed his first few years. I think he's figured out his role and how he can stay on this team. High intensity defense, playing in transition, and upping his three. But he worked with Cade some because he is really good defensively. You know what I mean? So being healthy, I think he fits for them. And that'll solidify him, just being able to come out the bench and not having to live up to the, all right, I need to be a starter because of what pick he was. Because remember, he was a high pick or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then Jalen Duran, you add him because, like you say, I think he fits with Isaiah Stewart. He's a little bit taller than him, so you can, play however you want to play with him. But he was a, top prospect coming out. I think he feel like he got a really good game. Like he's a solid player. I think he's gonna make them better. Maybe this seems like it's been a good change for Marvin Bagley. He honestly played pretty well once he went to Detroit. Have a good offseason with your team. Hopefully maybe they get together, they can play together, start getting some chemistry, workouts and stuff. And, it's there for them to be pretty good.
Right.
We're forgetting Sadiq Bey. He dropped 50 in the game. So you got Sadiq Bey that's going to be out there. Detroit got a good chance to be really good. They honestly got a chance to be really good, and I think it starts with Cade, and they're building the team where, because it's like I said about Houston, you've gotten your players in the 2 and 3 the last 2 drafts. What player are you looking for? How long are you playing the draft game?
Right.
That's what I wondered about Presti. Is Chet really the one for him? Because we all know how bad they want Victor Wembanyama. So that starts changing how you building your team. Mm-hmm. If you want to build your team to try to compete, you will do it. So Detroit, I feel like they're going to compete this year. And Cade, he'll be an all-star in a couple of years. Maybe the next 2 years. I don't know if he makes it this year. Right. If they're in playoff contention, he's probably in all-star talk this year, honestly. And a full healthy year for Cade. Because remember, he started the year hurt. And when he turned up. He could have won a really good year if he played the whole year.
No, I definitely agree with that. A team, real quick, who draft pick I'm still kind of questioning, especially because Jalen Duran was right there for him, and that's the San Antonio Spurs. It drafted Jeremy Sochan out of Baylor. Mm-hmm. I think he was second team All Big Ten, 9.6 rebounds,
six man
of the year. I feel like this is one of those picks where San Antonio said we're the Spurs and we see the potential that y'all might not see. But I also feel like this is one of those picks San Antonio makes when they're a good team already, so they're picking in the middle 20s or the bottom 20s and not in the top 10.
Right.
Do you think, real quick, this is not a serious question, but it's also an honest question. You think the Spurs been so good for so long they don't know how to scout in the top 10?
They don't know how to draft a top 10 player. I'm gonna be honest, and I don't know much about him.
And I'm not down. I'm not down him. I don't want to say that like I'm down his game.
But I mean, look, man. At the end of the day, and when you draft in the top 10, you're looking for a player that's gonna be a starter on your team. I feel like if I'm getting you in the top 10, starter, or he was a 6-man in college, you got to be 6-man and like compete for 6-man of the year, 6-man.
Right.
So, excuse me. I don't really know what the Spurs were looking for with this pick because. Is he gonna play where is he a 3? He a 4?
Probably a 4. Probably a stretch 4. You like Kyle Kuzma, probably a stretch 4.
And I asked that because I guess Keldon Johnson, he's more on the wing. Is he more on the wing now with Keldon? That's
the real question.
And it felt like that they was doing some stuff with Keldon being one of their builds. So that's my question.
Right. That's the real question.
Does this change how they feel about Keldon, or is Keldon looked at more as a 3? If somebody knows to answer that question, they can answer it way better than I can. Please let me know. But I don't know. I didn't really understand the pick. His suit was fly. You know what I mean? I like the purple.
Yeah, he did have one. He did have that suit. Yeah.
Yeah, he wore the purple, right? Yeah.
There was some dudes with some ugly suits.
Yeah, but I like Mark Williams' suit too. He went to Charlotte. So Jaden Ivey, I like his game. He was fresh. Black, yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of there's always some terrible ones out there.
It was some bad ones out. But like I said, this was one of those picks, especially because I don't feel like of course there's a trade talks out there.
I'll be honest, man. I don't trust 6 men in the top 10. I try not to say it, but that's just how it's worked out with who.
Marvin Williams
had a long career. He had a long career, solid
Josh
player.
Roberts.
He's not going to the Hall of Fame. He was drafted number 2. No disrespect, but yeah.
Deion Waiters was the number 3 pick.
Deion Waiters number 3 pick. Deion's not in the league right now.
I could say Josh McRoberts. Now, in certain cases, there are situations where it's like a Devin Booker to where like the team is stacked.
Devin Booker worked out. Devin Booker didn't go in the top 10.
All right, so but back to but seriously, I don't know. Like I also had that same thought because like I remember Deion Waiters was in Rookie of the Year conversation.
He definitely was.
He never got any
to the next level
further than that. Like he had some good runs here or there, but he never really had that sustained, consistent, good play that could have him even in 6-man of the year range in the NBA.
That's true.
Josh McRoberts played 2 seasons. Marvin Williams, and I'm pretty sure there's
long career for Marvin Williams.
Long career for Marvin Williams. No disrespect to him. I won't try to say it like that.
Yeah, but even still.
And I'm pretty sure there's some examples of some players who, who have.
Came off the bench
in college.
The top 10
right.
Became
because
an all-star, Hall of Famer.
Like with that, especially with the big man more so than the guard, you're definitely going off all potential.
One, Joel Embiid. He came out the bench in Kansas.
That's a good one.
Joel Embiid.
That's a good one. That's a really good one, actually. Yeah. But like, I feel like this is one of those all potential picks to where you're hoping like, okay, we hit the nail on, we got it. And like I say, especially with the trade talks of DeJounte Murray, who we thought the Hawks would go get him before the draft happened. I would be looking for a player who I know partners up with him.
And they also talking about, does this mean that the John Collins talk isn't true? Because you draft for it and you're going to trade to do all-star for John Collins and you got to...
I don't know. So this was one of those, I think the Spurs big-brained it when they should have just little-brained it and just went with Jalen Duran, who right now would be probably the better pick-and-roll partner with DeJounte Murray, and just as a vertical threat to block shots and to score on the other side. I feel like if you're not going to get a player that can shoot or create off the dribble, and you're not going to get somebody that can create his own offense in the post, that's always your next best thing, a vertical threat on both sides of the court. But like I said, back to DeJounte Murray real quick. Like I said, he's been in trade talks recently, and the one trade, of course, the 2 teams that you hear is the Knicks. I ain't even gonna talk about the Knicks in the draft because I know y'all upset already. But it's been the Knicks who's been searching for their point guard for however long, and the Atlanta Hawks who, when I first heard the Hawks one, it was like, why? Because it's like, both of them are point guards. Both of them are point guards that also have the ball in their hands a lot. Like DeJounte Murray basically came off a season where he averaged 21, 9, and 8. 9 assists, 8 rebounds. Trae Young, of course, led the league in total points and total assists. Back 28-9 player. I seen somebody say that Trae Young can be the point. Trae Young's gonna be the point guard. DeJounte Murray's gonna be the 2 because they were born 2 years apart. Some other worldly stuff that I don't really prescribe to because it's like, what are you even talking about? But I do remember a tidbit about Trae Young when he was in college, and he was saying, he basically had to learn how to dribble because growing up playing youth basketball, he liked to shoot more than he liked to dribble, which still shows in his NBA career. I don't care how many assists he averaged. He averaged a lot of assists because he has the ball in his hand. That's my small criticism right there, real quick. But then it's like, okay, with that being said, you get your big guard who can guard those players that Trae Young is either unwilling to try to guard or is just limited by his size to guard. It's a player who can get the ball out of Trae Young's hand. He doesn't necessarily provide the shooting that you would like, but he can get in the lane. He has a nice floater. I guess the long conversation short, how would you feel about a possible DeJounte Murray, Trae Young backcourt? We could talk about his now because free agency is 2 weeks away. We try to stay away from all that noise until the certain time of the season. It's that time to talk about it. But how would you feel about that pair? And do you think it makes logical sense?
Honestly, I don't. I really don't. Now, if they feel like the relationship is because John Collins has been the name, so I'll use John Collins. If you feel like the relationship is done with John Collins and you can move him to get an all-star, I think you can make it work. But if that's my move for the summer that gets us back to the Eastern Conference Finals, nah, I'd rather not do it. Honestly. If you really want a 2 that badly, I would just really package. I mean, you just gotta really see what it would take to get Bradley Beal, honestly, to see. I know he's about to sign his deal, but I would go that route. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, like you said, Trae, he did like playing off the ball. He was in AAU or whatever. And obviously you see kind of what Steph does because remember, we got the host has Travis Schlink as the president of basketball operations. He came from Golden State. The whole reason he had drafted Kevin Huerter in the beginning was because that's how he saw that as more of he was trying to build that out there. But Steph started as a 2, so it was always kind of natural for him to play off the ball. I don't know if Trae is at a point where he could play off the ball. I think it'd be nice if he could add that to his game because obviously it's a long game, so he's still gonna run point guard. There's a lot of opportunities to play to both to handle the ball nowadays. But I don't know, and I don't know that DeJounte Murray would be as good off the ball as Trae is because Trae is a much better shooter. I think DeJounte, what was he, 30% from 3 last year? 32% from 3 last year.
Close to league average.
Close to league average. I don't think it's really good enough, honestly. So if I gotta move on for John Collins and that's the best deal out there, I wouldn't hate it because DeJounte's an all-star, all defensive player, so that's gonna help with your defense quickly. Like it'd be much easier to hide Trae where you got another guard like that can play the defense the way that he plays, especially with DeAndre Hunter out there. I imagine Clint Capella's still on the team if he's healthy. That's a nice defensive team, honestly. But I would keep the team I got before I made that deal. Honestly.
Right, like especially if that's your deal of the summer. Like
I think it'd probably be a better deal at the trade deadline.
I don't think that I would prefer to trade Clint Capella for DeJounte Murray as the move of the summer.
But then you got DeJounte, John Collins.
I don't play and just go with Big O at the 5 with John Collins at the 4. I would rather do that. That's just me though. But
and then it says the Spurs want 3 first-round picks for him.
See, that's where it gets tricky. We ain't got to get into all that today, but that's where it's like
I'm gonna give up 3 first-round picks.
You would it?
I wouldn't.
We ain't got to go any further then because that's why I was going with it too. But the big news that everybody on NBA Twitter is talking about, and I feel like it's only right then to hear because you just brought up the Hawks, maybe should try to package some things to trade for him. But Bradley Beal is expected to opt out the last year of his contract and sign a brand new contract that sits at, I think, 5 years, $245 million. And of course, everybody's gonna have their think pieces and thoughts and things and words about it and how they feel about it. You're gonna have the side that says he clearly isn't committed to win if he takes his contract from an organization like the Washington Wizards. And then you're gonna have the other side of it that says, well, why would you turn down that much money? Like, at the end of the day, this I think, I'm getting to a real conversation after this, but it's like, why would you turn that down? Like, he's been an all-star. He hasn't been All-NBA yet, but he's made the playoffs. He's led the league in scoring. Bradley Beal is a top 5 shooting guard right now at this part of his career. He's easily one of the top 5 offensive weapons in the NBA. Maybe not top 5 offensive weapons, but he's easily a top 10 offensive weapon. Top 10 weapon in his NBA, especially when he's healthy. I know he's been hurt a lot over the last couple of years, but even with that being hurt, he averaged 30 the year before, and it helped Washington go to the playoffs, him and Westbrook. These conversations are always tricky because, A, let's stop pocket watching. I know they put him out there, but maybe they shouldn't be putting their contract information out there until they actually sign them. So then we can just say, okay, cool, he signed it. But B, this is one of those things to where you're either going to sound like you care about team success or you're okay with an individual legacy, because an individual legacy can be whatever you want it to be. And we were talking about this earlier, and we were just saying if Bradley Beal, who, if he stays on the projections that he's on, but he stays healthy, he probably ends up being the Washington Wizards all-time leading scorer, top 4 in assists, top 5 in steals, top 8 to 10 in rebounds, maybe top 7 in rebounds, probably get most games played, most threes made, 3-point percentage in the top 5, free throws made, everything you can think of for the Washington Wizards. He gets his jersey retired, arguably, not even arguably, definitely concrete top 3 player, arguably the best player in their history. I know a lot of people are going to say Wes Unseld because of the championship and the MVP, Earl Monroe and what he did with the Washington Bullets, Elvin Hayes. It's a lot of great players in the Bullets and Wizards history, but Bradley Beal is definitely up there. Where do you lie on a player as a Bradley Beal taking this much money from a team who you don't necessarily think is focused on winning, as opposed to maybe taking a significantly smaller amount of money to go, or taking the money, which probably still would be a significantly smaller amount, but taking this and getting a sign and trade to go on for where NBA Twitter would prefer him to go to win a championship or to compete for a championship like the Lakers, or I think it was Nick Wright. I mean, we don't listen to Nick Wright over here, but Nick Wright said the Golden State should trade for Bradley Beal. They should move some stuff around for Bradley Beal. I said we don't listen to Nick Wright saying it on Twitter. I like Twitter and stuff. But where do you lie on that? Should Bradley Beal, is this a morally wrong thing for Bradley Beal to do as a basketball player? I guess is the question.
I think the only time I honestly think a player is chasing the money and not committed to winning is if they take a big deal for a team that clearly, like if Sacramento offered him a big deal and he went to Sacramento, then I would say Bradley Beal don't care about winning.
There you go.
But to sign a deal with a team that drafted him, that he's had some success there, that he has been committed to trying to build something there. I mean, I understand why some players don't just pack up and move, and then we don't even got to get to the human side of it. He got a wife and kids there. I think he got a wife on. I'm sorry if I put a wife on him, but I know he got kids.
They're there or not, but he definitely has a person in his life.
Yeah, but I know they got kids. He has a family there, so nobody just wants to just move their whole life. So I understand why you look at a team, you look at some success that you had, and you think, if we just get this, I'm here. If we get this here, we could win it, and we could be one of the better cities for winning it. Because I think it would be fun to win in Washington. Right, Washington's a cool city, so I can understand why he would want to stay. I don't think leaving is always what some people think it is. You know what I mean? You see the players that have felt pressure to leave when they don't win. They've acknowledged, just for example, not even as a high-profile player, and he still had a good career there when he still became an all-star. But LaMarcus Aldridge has spoken a few times about how he kind of wish he didn't leave Portland. Even though they hadn't won, but people kind of pressured him to lead, and it was the Dame thing. So it was, different situation, obviously. Right. But they could say it's the Dame thing. But honestly, it was all right. You become an all-star, now you go win a championship. And the Spurs had Duncan. The recipe was there. So, because remember, he was looking at the Lakers. Mm-hmm. He was trying to win a championship, opposed to continuing to build in Portland. So, and he, there's just a small sample size, obviously, but sometimes it don't always work out that way. And then, you've seen players stay and it changed. I remember everybody said Giannis was out the door. Then some stuff go your way. Not saying the Wizards going to win the championship. Bradley Beal isn't Giannis, but people had Giannis gone. It couldn't happen. Bud should get fired.
Mm-hmm. They still want Bud fired.
And then they win the championship, and it's like, all right.
Still want Bud fired, right. But nah.
So, I understand why sometimes the grass isn't greener. Right. I understand why a person wouldn't want to leave. But then, I feel like the main thing that would make, if I was a player, I ain't make it to the NBA, but the main thing that would make me want to stay was if I see the team blatantly not trying to get better, and then they're just overly, because it's a business, cool, but it's just like overly dishonest to me about stuff. Right. But if y'all done kept it solid with me, we've tried to win, but people have been hurt. John Wall got hurt. They had him in Westbrook. They had injuries that year also. Last year, he was hurt. I feel like trying to trade for KCP, Kuz, Trez, players coming off championships, Dinwiddie, like at the beginning of the season, when they winning, they look good. You saw. So I don't feel like it's like they haven't been trying to get better, honestly. Some things haven't worked how you thought they should work, which means people should be better at their jobs. I'm not trying to dispute that either. But I think it's a difference between stuff not working out and y'all just don't know what the hell y'all doing right here. I think it's a difference in that, honestly.
No, and I agree with that.
Even with like Danny got hurt, he was having a good rookie year. He was starting. He was like one of the leaders in minutes. He get hurt.
The season.
Like these are players that you while having a career year, he got hurt. Like so, I don't feel like they just been doing anything. Honestly,
not for sure. And like I say, when legacy talk is always one of those weird talks because when people talk legacy in the grand scheme of things, we always go championships and individual awards, and while all those things are great, we can't define a legacy as a singular way or a singular path. Just use Lamar. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use LeBron for an example because LeBron is the ultimate, second year all NBA, all-star, 27 points per game, and that's just who he's been. And he won 2 MVPs. He did go to one championship in 2007 with that first time around in Cleveland. But LeBron was always, especially to a certain group of people, a certain generation of people, or certain people who thought that the NBA or professional sports is played or achieve things a certain ways. Like, okay, you got all this individual success. Now go win a championship. You got to win a championship. You're supposed to win a championship, and that is what makes that does, like, no matter what no player is bulletproof. Like, everybody is human, and once you hear some things for so long, you kind of do think, maybe I do need to switch it up. Maybe leaving this team and going to another team, going to this team and help me to have better chance to win a championship. Or maybe you feel like I've done everything could do for this team.
And that's valid too.
And I just feel like we have to stop making legacy talk so one singular path, especially if Bradley Beal was a championship and an MVP next year or in the next 3 seasons, is his legacy? Do we say his legacy on par with Michael Jordan? This ain't not even a long explanation question. Like, if he does all that, if he wins 2 championships and 3 MVPs in the next year, do we say he's on par legacy wise with a Kobe Bryant RP? And when it comes to that, we have to understand that we have to stop looking at legacy as a singular thing. You have to win this many championships. You have to win this many MVPs. You have to score this many points. Because you're never going to put Bradley Beal in your top 5 over ever. Never. He's never going to be in your top 10. He's never going to be in your top 15. So why and I'm just using Bradley Beal for an example because he's finna sign this big ass contract. So why is there so much pressure for Bradley Beal to leave and go win the championship when that truthfully does nothing for his overall legacy of how people see him?
Basically. I mean, cause that's pretty much what it is. So.
And this is close to the end of the show, so I hope y'all hearing this and y'all stick around and hear this because I would like y'all thoughts on this as well. Like, no, y'all ain't got to tell me how y'all view legacies, but why, as a general and as a mass, as a masses, we seem to make the legacy journey a singular path and not it's whatever is laid out in front of you and what you take.
And it's messing up people, you know, because at the end of the day, Brad can do great things that he can't individually. And then maybe he does get with somebody later and he wins, you know, a championship and stuff. Or they going to dispute it then. His career's not over. He still got a long way to go. I don't think there's nothing wrong with him signing this deal.
Yeah, no.
That's right. Put him a $250 million guaranteed. Just so y'all can still not acknowledge that he ain't even in the class. They go like Bradley Beal, he still ain't in the class of Kobe. So why win the championship for? He ain't Jordan. Like, all right, bro. So I want it for what? Like, look. I mean, just look what they do to Kevin Durant. So.
Like I didn't want to bring Kevin Durant up, but Kevin Durant was definitely the next example.
Look what people do to James Harden, even Westbrook, dismissing their MVPs. Dismissing the games that we've watched them play, the things that we've seen them do.
Right, like Westbrook. The Lakers win a championship.
The worst player in the league. He averaged 18. Like, yeah, he had some bad moments. He averaged 18. Like, you know
18,
how many people in the NBA averaging 18 points?
18.
I know scoring is up, but do you really know how many people in the NBA is averaging 18 points? These people don't roll trees.
So like, let's not act like winning, like,
man, they want him to go to another place to help LeBron legacy.
That as well, like, no, that is
only connected to the Lakers. He ain't go. What if he's missing a piece for the Spurs? They would have, you know what I mean? What if the Spurs want him? What if Brooklyn? Why Philly is an option? Could you imagine Bradley Beal, James Harden, and Embiid? Like, that's a championship.
Him and Jason Tatum, his hometown friends.
Why he ain't going to the Nets? Why exactly? Because that's what I said earlier. If he's going anywhere, he would go to Boston. I would like him to
go to Boston, so that means Jaylen Brown is over there. Yeah,
so 3-team trade. Let's do it.
We get back there somehow.
3-team trade. Jaylen Brown to Atlanta. That's what I like. Forget this DeJounte Murray talk. We can have Jaylen Brown. Boston can have Bradley Beal. Washington.
They can get. Because I feel like they have players that need a point guard.
Yeah, they can get DeJounte, but then who the Spurs get? John Collins. There you go. Dang, 14. Ooh. We just saw the NBA.
Ooh, we saw. Dang, that's what we do.
That's a nice 14.
And we're not even the trade machine guy. But we always saving the NBA somehow.
Yeah, so Brad's gonna go to Boston. DeJounte's going to Washington. Jaylen Brown coming to Atlanta. The Spurs get John Collins. Add your picks and your compensation.
Now you can get picks. Now you can get your 3 first round picks.
That's the best trade in the NBA. Everybody got something. Y'all all eating now.
Because that's what we do.
They all eating.
Now to get out of here though, seriously, like I said, I hope y'all stick around and listen to that end part because shout out to Mitch Richmond, who, if I remember the number correctly, he was the number 4 leading, 5th.
4th or 5th.
He was top 5 in total points in the 90s.
Yep.
Karl Malone, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, Mitch Richmond, Reggie Miller,
Glenn
Rice. Just all around nice list.
I think who else was on there?
Who else was on there? Because that was a nice list. Like I said, I know. Marl Cologne was number 1 with 21,000 points.
Oh, yeah, Barkley, Scottie Pippen.
Pippen.
Top 5 was Malone, Jordan, Patrick, David Robinson, then Mitch. Then it was Hakeem, Reggie, Glenn Rice, Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen.
So shout out to Money Making Rich, another shooting guard who was famously underrated for his time.
Carl, the only one that had 20,000.
Yeah.
Carl and Jordan had 18.
That's the only time he had anything over 20.
That's missing 4 years in the 90s though, because you got to think the 2. Well, the 1.5 he was retired, and then he retired for 3 more, right? Or was it 2 more?
2 more.
So, yeah.
That's the only time Carmelo gonna do anything over 21. But other than that, I don't got anything else to say. I think I ran out of words for this episode. But you got anything else?
Just as always, appreciate the listeners. Shout out to all the viewers this season for the Hoopers Afternoon session on the Off the Ball Network. Shout out to the Off the Ball Network. You can find us anywhere podcasts are available, wherever you get your podcast fix. Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We on Pandora, all those cool places. Go there, check them out. Make sure you go to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page. Just search the Hoopers Pod on YouTube. Go watch some old runs. Get the podcast episodes. Some other dope summer stuff coming up. That's all I got.
All right, I'm John W.
It's Fresh X.
And we are the Hoop.